Hey VC, how's it going? It's Mitch. Long time no see, guys. Man, I don't even know how long it's been since I've done my last video. I know it was probably October, if not before then. So, my apologies for being away for so long. Um, I wanted to hop back on and do the vinyl tag 2019. I can't remember if I did 2018's or not, but I know that I started um, making vinyl community videos around the 2017 vinyl tag time. So I believe it was Andrew at Tales from the Crate that came up with these questions. Good job, Andrew. I think there's some really good questions in here. Part of the reason I wanted to make this video was just to kind of get back in and say hi, let people know I'm still alive. I've been doing a really horrible job participating in the vinyl community over the last few months. I haven't been making any videos, but I will say I've been watching a lot of your guys' videos. I've just been doing, again, a bad job at commenting. So I just kind of went into lurker mode, I guess, as the kids would call it these days. But hopefully, over the next few months, you might see more of me. Part of the reason I haven't been too keen on making videos lately is because I don't really have a spot in my current living situation that I love to film in front of. It's kind of a bitch for me to set up and get in an environment where I feel comfortable and can sit down and talk on camera for a while. But anyway, glad to be back. Glad to be doing the vinyl tag. There's 20 questions here. We've got a stack of vinyl ready to go, so let's just dive in. So the first question is best find of 2018. As soon as I read that question, this came to mind. So this is, as you can see, Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention Freak Out. I got this on trade from the one and only Billy Hurst. Probably summer 2018. I think I showed it in one of my last videos, but this has been a big hole in my Zappa collection for a long time. I've been looking for a really clean first pressing of this particular album. Not quite sure that this is a first pressing, but it's definitely early with the Hotspots ad in it, and it's in super nice condition all the way around. So I was really stoked to add this to the collection. Billy, thanks for being open to trade on this bad boy, and I'm really glad to have it. Next up is shout-outs for the VC. Most of the people that I've been watching their vinyl tags so far have done something to the effect of shouting out channels that need more subscribers, have less than 200 subscribers, etc. I think that's a good idea, but to be honest, I haven't been too active in seeking out new channels to watch over the past few months. So I would like to kind of reiterate, I've been doing a bad job participating and commenting, and so for that I'd like to apologize. But there's some people that kind of, even if I'm not commenting, I'm watching everything that they post, and these people probably don't need any more subscribers, but I'd like to shout them out just to kind of say thanks for bringing me into the vinyl community, inspiring me to make videos, and continue to put out great content. Billy Hurst is always making great videos. Probably a little biased at this point because him and I have become really good friends outside of the VC over the last couple of years, but I always enjoy what he has to say, and his production quality is really high. He's got a fantastic collection. It makes me jealous every single time he shows stuff. Brandon over at Mr. Hall of Fame is always a blast to watch. He's picking up shit that literally makes my jaw drop on occasion. Just he's really been focused on Japanese pressings and music on vinyl and just really audiophile pressings and upgrading his collection to the best sounding copy he can find in the best condition he can find, which I really like it. Paul over at Baraka P-Dub, always interested in his videos. Man, that guy spends a lot of time editing. Makes a guy like myself who does one-take videos look lazy, but Paul has always got a shit ton of information in his videos. I love those. David Michael, always a fun guy to watch, the king of the thrift stores, and just really easy to talk to and approachable. I really enjoyed getting closer with David Michael. Of course, Brian at Shamrock and Records. We've got Jeff Party, Sean Zlock. Man, I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple of people, but those are the guys that I really am keen to watch. James Griffiths, Headley, Karsten. And then, of course, I just noticed he subscribed to me earlier this month. One of my favorite channels is Robert Z. I mean, I know he's been around the VC since day one, but I really just enjoy the way that he operates his channel. A lot of his videos right now are by request. And he's just, you can tell he's a stand-up guy. He's got a great collection, a lot of stuff that I'm really interested in. So anyway, those people might already have plenty of subs, but those are the people who kind of got me into the vinyl community through watching their videos, who keep me coming back to watch, and who have been supportive of me as well. So thank you guys all so much. As far as the third question, holes in my collection that I'd like to fill, I've been really trying to kind of process, even before I saw the questions for the vinyl tag, as to what I'm going to go after this year, what I'm going to attack as far as holes or gaps in my collection. First thing that comes to mind is my Led Zeppelin collection is just non-existent, really. I think I have 1, 3, and 4, and my copies of 3 and 4 were handed down to me from my dad, and he got them in middle school, and middle school kids don't take good care of their stuff. So I really would like to focus on getting some really nice early or original, even you'll see later, some Japanese pressings would be nice. There's a few Queen albums that I have left to pick up. I really need to upgrade a lot of my Billy Squier. Man, honestly, there's a lot of holes in my collection. I don't have any Bowie to speak of. I could go on and on, but what I've really been focusing on lately is nicer pieces that I've been wanting for a while, or are just high quality. So I'm more apt to skip that $8 to $15 quote unquote common album that's in really good condition. I'd rather not have 3 or 4 of those and have one really great 45, 60, 70 onward and upwards album in cost, just to add to my collection, especially if it's an album I really love. It's very hard to find. But yeah, I think primary goal this year is probably going to be Zeppelin, followed closely by Queen. Fourth is an album that is cheap and good. So I went ahead and grabbed this Gino Vanelli, Powerful People. This, of course, is the Mobile Fidelity pressing. But I see both regular pressings and these MoFi pressings all the time for dirt cheap. This copy is near mint, and I think I paid maybe 10 or 12 bucks for it, which for a Mobile Fidelity is super cheap. This album just sounds amazing. The production quality is awesome. It's one of my go-to kind of show off my stereo albums, and I like the music. A lot of people might think that Gino is a little bit cheesy or kind of overproduced, and you know, those critiques might be a little bit valid, but I still really like this stuff. So cheap but good album, Powerful People by Gino Vanelli. Next up is favorite side project album. I just picked this one up earlier this week. This, of course, is Porno for Pyros. This is an original pressing. I think was this 93. So this was European only on vinyl originally, made in Germany. So super pumped to find this. Is really, really clean. And this is a great album. Of course, Perry Farrell from Jane's Addiction. This is primarily his side project. Just really solid all the way around. Fun listen. Next is question number 6, which is a song that's uncharacteristic of the artist's catalog. And honestly, I had a pretty hard time coming up with an answer for this, but I've got some stuff that's been in my intake pile, and I saw this guy in the intake pile, and of course this is Zeppelin 1, and the song I'm gonna call uncharacteristic of their catalog is Your Time Is Gonna Come, especially for the first, if you kind of go through the first 4 albums there, I feel like Your Time Is Gonna Come is a great song, but it kind of just sticks out in their catalog just for the lack of heaviness in that one, the tempo, the amount of kind of vocal harmonies. So like I said, I was having a really hard time answering that question. Hopefully that's Your Time's Gonna Come is not too much of a cop-out, but I also just wanted to show this bad boy off. So this is a 76 reissue from Japan. Like I said, my Zeppelin collection is abysmal at best, so trying my best to find some good additions to round that out. Last album I purchased is this guy. This is a Japanese first press of Mata Hoople, All the Young Dudes. Really nice condition. I'm not going to take it out because it's in one of those annoying resealable Blake sleeves, but this is a white label promo, which I was super pumped to find out. The site that I got this from, I trust their grading 100%, but they usually, unless you ask them, will not post photos of the actual record. So it was not advertised as a white label promo, and when I spun it for the first time the other day, I was really, really happy to find that out. Number 8 is great album with a bad cover, and I chose this guy. This is Billy Cobham, Spectrum. This is a fantastic jazz album. Billy Cobham's, I'm not the most educated when it comes to jazz, guys, so forgive some of my ignorance, but Billy Cobham is a really highly respected jazz drummer. This is kind of a little bit more of a fusion, kind of really relaxed, kind of free jazz, in my opinion. Again, if I'm using the wrong vocabulary, sue me. But the main reason this is in my collection is because it features Tommy Bolin on guitar, and he absolutely rips on this album, and the combination of what Tommy's doing on guitar and what Billy's doing on drums is awesome. I just think this cover is really lackluster and dumb. So that's Billy Cobham, Spectrum. Great album, bad cover. Next up is bad album with a cool cover. This album sucks really bad. If you're a fan of this one, excuse me, but this soundtrack to me, if it didn't mean as much as it did to my dad, I probably would have sold this or traded it already. But I love this cover. This one's the embossed, textured cover, and I just think that the artwork is really cool, even though I have no desire to listen to very many, if any, songs off of this guy. Next up is a blues album. I'm not super big into blues as far as collecting goes yet, so I don't have a whole hell of a lot to choose from, so I'm going to be another white guy in the VC holding up a Stevie Ray Vaughan album for the blues question. This is Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble live in the beginning. Of course, you can see this Analog Productions press. I have not opened this one yet. I just got it a little bit ago as part of kind of Christmas and birthday combination stuff. But I was also fortunate enough earlier this year to get the Analog Productions Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble box set, and this is the only album that Analog Productions pressed of Stevie Ray that they didn't include in the box. So I had to get this one to complete the Analog Productions Stevie Ray Vaughan box, and I'm super excited to pop this one open and give it a spin. It's from a radio broadcast in Austin in April 1st of 1980, so pretty early for those guys. I've heard it sounds really, really good. Like I said, I'm pretty excited to put this one on the table. Number 11 is Earworm song. When I saw that question, I knew I was going to be showing this album. The reason being is I like this album. This is Robert Plant, brain fart. Principle of Moments. Sorry. Robert Plant, The Principle of Moments. This is, of course, a Japanese pressing. I got this copy for a steal of a deal. I like this album okay as a whole, but I bought this Japanese pressing because it was cheap, and In the Mood is constantly in my head, and I wanted to hear it on a Japanese pressing, and it was well worth the price of admission here. So my Earworm song is In the Mood by Robert Plant. Historically important artist. So, for that, I could have pulled a lot of different artists, but I decided to grab this guy, which is another pretty recent acquisition for me. Sorry about the glare there, guys. This, of course, is Mother Love Bone Shine. This is an original pressing that I found earlier this week. And I chose these guys for historically significant artists because just of how influential and important a lot of these guys in this band are and were to the Seattle scene, to grunge. There wouldn't obviously be Pearl Jam without this band. Temple of the Dog exists because of this band. Obviously, Andrew Wood and Chris Cornell being friends is highly influential with Soundgarden. And this is historically important in my growth in understanding of music as well. I've been listening to these guys since I was a very little kid. They were one of my dad's favorite bands, and therefore they became one of mine. So really, really pumped to have this original pressing still in the shrink. Sounds great. And like I said, this is the historically important band, Mother Love Bone. Next up is number 13, an album that I own because of my parents. As a lot of you guys know, a lot of my record collection came to me through my dad. I inherited it a couple years ago. I had my own collection, of course, but when I got his, my collection size greatly increased, and if we've talked about it before, if we've talked outside of the VC, a lot of you guys know that I don't necessarily see his stuff as mine. A lot of times I just kind of think of myself as a curator of my dad's collection, and so because of that, there's a lot of stuff that I end up purchasing because there's a hole in my dad's collection, or it needed upgraded, in my opinion. And so growing up, my dad was a huge Motley Crue fan, and this was the only studio album that he did not have on vinyl. So I've been digging and looking around for a long time, and towards the later half of last year, I found this guy on a Facebook auction, and this is a Columbia house, Columbia Record Club pressing, but it's super clean. It sounds awesome. I got it for pretty cheap compared to what these usually go for, and like I said, it was just a big hole in my dad's otherwise really great Motley Crue collection. I've got bootlegs, I've got 12-inch singles. I don't know why he never had this on vinyl, but This is definitely an album I own because of my parents. Number 14 is a dollar bin find record, and I'm kind of choosing not to answer that question. Um, Maybe in other parts of the world, dollar bins are more common or they've got better shit in them. But here in the Kansas City area, I've lived here for a little over 10 years, and I would say I stopped looking in the $1 to $3 bins probably 7 years ago. Um, just because around here, I feel like a lot of what ends up in dollar bins is water damaged and moldy. It's really hard to find even common albums in a good enough condition for me to want to bring them home. So because I haven't been digging in dollar bin albums or dollar bins for albums in a really long time, I just don't have a good record to show to answer that question. So really jealous of some of the stuff I've seen you guys show so far, and if I go out of town, I'm definitely gonna look in the $1 to $3 bins. It's just the stores that I frequent here, I know don't really put the good stuff in them ever, and you don't really get lucky in those dollar bins around here. So anyway, we'll jump ahead to number 15, which is favorite double album. This one all day long. I don't really need to say anything other than that. A lot of people talk about 1999 as being Prince's best double album. I think it's just below this guy. For me, this is just a perfect album from start to finish. And being on 2 LPs, having something that I don't have to skip a track at all the way through, is a pretty big rarity. And it's got a lot of my favorite Prince songs on it in general, from Housequake to Starfish and Coffee to Slow Love to Forever in My Life. I could go on and on. But yeah, this is my favorite double album, Prince, Sign of the Times. Number 16 is an album that you learned about from the VC in the last year. I chose this guy, Diamond Head, Behold the Beginning. So my understanding is Diamond Head is a new wave of British heavy metal band that was super influential to bands like Metallica. And when I started going through my dad's stuff and cataloging it and getting everything sleeved up and all that good stuff, I was talking with Billy Hurst over there at Billy Hurst is his username. And when I asked him if he'd ever heard about these guys, he knew a little bit about what I like when it comes to metal, and he told me to throw this bad boy on the table as soon as possible, and I did, and it's awesome. So yeah, Diamond Head, Behold the Beginning is an album that I learned about through the VC this year. 17 is a 10-inch record. I don't own too many 10 inches, but this is definitely one of the better 10 inches that I've bought probably ever. It's an EP by Maggie Rogers. It's called Now That the Light is Fading. She actually just dropped a full-length LP on Friday. Super excited about that, but she does this really kind of weird mix of like Americana and folk and electronic dance music, and it's really great. If you haven't heard her, I would definitely recommend YouTubing Maggie Rogers Alaska and watching the video that Pharrell is in. It's kind of how she got famous. She went viral with a video while she was at NYU. So yeah, 10-inch record, Maggie Rogers, Now That the Light is Fading. Number 18 is a 7-inch. And I went ahead and chose this guy. It's Blind Melon, Tons of Home. It's a white label promo. I believe it's backed with yeah, it's just the same track on both sides on that guy. But I was super pumped to find this in a record store here in town. It's one of my favorite Blind Melon songs, and I believe this came out, yeah, '92. So it's kind of cool to have a later white label promo 45 as well. Number 19 is favorite album to fall asleep to. I don't usually fall asleep to music these days, but in late high school, early college, I did all the time. And I don't own a copy of this album, but I would definitely say my favorite all-time fall asleep album is Ambient 1, Music for Airports by Brian Eno. I've been looking for an original of that guy for a while. I just never come across one that's nice enough to want to pull the trigger on, but I'll find one eventually. I know they just reissued them. But if you haven't heard Brian Eno's ambient stuff, I would definitely suggest starting at Ambient 1, Music for Airports. Just really soothing and peaceful. Of course, it's ambient music, so it's got a lot of air and space in it, and it's just really beautiful and tranquil. So that's why I used to fall asleep to it a lot. But like I said, I don't have a copy of it currently. So, and then number 20 is a fave VC experience or just advice to people who are getting ready to start making videos. As far as favorite VC experience, I would just have to say just making real friends with people who are here in the VC making videos. I've been fortunate enough to build acquaintanceships and deeper relationships with several people. Billy Hurst and I obviously talk a lot. I talk with Sean Zlock every once in a while, or Jeff Party. Sometimes I'll catch Brian at Shamrock and Records up late, and we'll talk on Facebook. David Michael and I stay in touch. And so with those guys and James Griffiths, the Vinyl Professor, has always been really supportive of my channel as well. Just building friendships that I can actually have people that want to talk about music or are interested in the same things that I'm interested in when it comes to music collecting has been really good. It's been really fruitful over the last 2 years, which honestly is probably why I'm not as active as I have been or could be, or however you want to put that, is because I feel pretty fulfilled now when it comes to my music-related friendships. I've been lucky enough to build some behind-the-scenes relationships in the VC, and so I don't always have to make a video to kind of show off what I've purchased or talk about different pressings or whatever. I usually am now just in the habit of reaching out to one of my buddies or whatever. And then as far as advice goes to anybody who's thinking about making videos, I would say just do it. Nobody here cares about your production value or whether or not you're bumbling when you first start. It takes a while to get used to talking to a camera. And everybody's always been super welcoming to me and hospitable and encouraging. And so just dive in, especially if you feel like it's hard for you to make music friends in real life or your hometown or whatever you want to call it. There's somebody in the VC is into what you're into, and you'll find people and you'll make connections, and it's just fun. So yeah, if you're thinking about making a video and you haven't dipped your toe in the water yet, come on in. The water's fine. Everybody's nice. So yeah, guys, that's my Vinyl Tag 2019. Hopefully this isn't too long. It's nice to be back, though. I appreciate everybody who takes the time to watch and comment. And hopefully you'll see me sooner rather than later this time. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and have a good one.